Welcome to this explainer. I'm thrilled you're joining me today because we're breaking down a truly fascinating and honestly kind of alarming recent event. We're talking about that historic severe weather that just blanketed the entire New York metro area. We're going to use data directly from the sources to figure out exactly why these intense megastorms keep hitting and, more importantly, what we can actually do about it.
Okay, let's dive into this. 20 million people. That's a massive number, right? During this recent storm system, Tornado Watch 507 didn't just clip a couple of counties, no. It covered every single one of New York City's 5 boroughs at the exact same time, plus parts of New Jersey and Connecticut. The National Weather Service was literally telling over 20 million people simultaneously that conditions were prime for rotating storms to touch down. I mean, this was absolutely not a drill.
Which really begs the big question on everyone's mind. Why is New York City suddenly getting these broad tornado watches and absolute megastorms? I swear, it feels like we're seeing historic rainfall headlines every single summer now. Well, to find the answer, we need to look at two distinct things: the specific timeline of how these modern storms develop and an underlying decades-old infrastructure gap.
Let's look at the timeline for this specific event, which was basically a two-wave system. In the morning, an isolated first wave hit just north and west of the city, but the real threat, that was the second wave, arriving between roughly 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. Forecasters actually placed New York City under a level 2 severe weather risk, and parts of New Jersey were at a level 3. We even saw actual tornado warnings pop up in the surrounding counties. By the time the flood watch finally expired at 2 a.m., some areas had been slammed with over 5 inches of rain.
The math behind the floods. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why the city flooded instantly. How does a wind threat turn into an immediate water threat? Just look at these two numbers. At the storm's peak, rainfall rates hit a staggering 2 to 3 inches per hour. But New York City storm drains? Well, they were designed back in the mid-20th century and were engineered to handle just 1.75 inches per hour. So the math simply doesn't work. Anything faster than that 1.75 inches completely overwhelms the system, backing up into streets, subways, and below-grade apartments almost instantly.
And you know, that overwhelmed infrastructure creates a severe real-world danger. It is absolutely vital to remember that just 12 inches of moving water can completely sweep a car away. 12 inches! During these flash flood emergencies, driving through standing water is incredibly deadly. In fact, most flood deaths happen right where you might think you're safe, inside a vehicle. Because when those streets can't drain, they literally become rivers.
Why storms are getting stronger?
So why exactly are we getting hit with so much water so incredibly fast? Honestly, it comes down to basic atmospheric physics. It's a well-established climate reality that for every 1 degree Celsius of warming in the atmosphere, it can hold roughly 7% more water vapor. It's kind of like a giant sponge. Because of this, today's storms simply have way more fuel to work with. So the rain that used to fall gently over an entire day, it now arrives in short, highly concentrated, violent bursts.
Now, when you add wind shear to the mix, which, by the way, is when winds shift speed or direction as you go higher up in the atmosphere, things get even more intense. Combine these highly energetic moisture-packed thunderstorms with strong wind shear, and you've got the perfect recipe for rotation. While New York isn't exactly Tornado Alley, this exact atmospheric combination is why we're seeing way more of these quick spin-up tornadoes threatening the Northeast.
How to stay safe.
Now, city planners are currently working on a multi-billion-dollar green infrastructure upgrade to fix that drainage gap. But let's be real, that's a multi-decade project. We need an immediate action plan right now. So when an alert hits, check your exact local updates. If you're in NYC, text your bro name to 692-692. And remember, a watch means conditions are right, but a warning means you must act immediately. Avoid basement and street-level flooding zones entirely. Move to an interior room on the lowest floor if a tornado warning hits. Pre-storm, charge those devices, adjust your fridge settings to keep food cold, and please, form a backup plan to check on elderly or disabled neighbors who might need a hand.
I want to leave you with a really powerful quote from our sources today. The storm that surprises you is usually the one you didn't check the forecast for. You see, the practical takeaway from all this data isn't to just panic every time it rains. It's to make preparation a habit. We've got to treat every single watch seriously.
The reality is, the baseline for our weather has completely shifted. These heavy, fast-moving storms, they're our new normal. So I'll leave you with this. Are you prepared for the next megastorm? Take just 5 minutes today to figure out your local alerts and your safety plan. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay safe out there and stay curious.